Hello, I'm Bob Schieffer, and welcome to the CBS Evening News Online edition. Just ahead, a clearer picture emerges of yesterday's triple hotel bombing in Amman, Jordan. David Hawkins has the details. Also, saving money on home energy bills. A Consumer Alert series begins with a look at the latest in solar power. And a wounded U.S. war hero is reunited with his best friend from Baghdad. And wait till you see who his best friend is. It's all starting now on the CBS Evening News Online edition. The toll in Amman, Jordan is well past 50 now, including 2 Americans, but officials say it will surely rise as they continue to search through the wreckage of those hotels hit last night by suicide bombers. It was, as police suspected, the work of al-Qaeda terrorists who called Amman the backyard garden for the people making war in Iraq. And even as they claim credit for that, the same group set off new bombs in Baghdad. We begin tonight in Amman with David Hawkins.
The al-Qaeda claim came as no surprise. The 1-2-3 punch in Amman near simultaneous attacks on 3 different targets is al-Qaeda's trademark. And they tried this before. U.S. intelligence sources tell CBS News that last summer, Jordanian security forces arrested a number of people suspected of planning attacks on Western hotels here. Al-Qaeda's internet message said the hotels were targeted because they are, quote, a backyard garden for crusaders and Jews. But most of the victims were Jordanians. Their killers, police believe, were Iraqis. The bombers, they say, spoke with an Iraqi accent. The first and the worst attack happened here at the Radisson Hotel. The bomber entered the hotel through this door. He walked through the lobby to the banquet hall behind me, where there was a wedding party going on. Just before the bride and groom arrived, he blew himself up. Ashraf and Nadia Daas had delayed their wedding so that family and friends from all over the Middle East could attend. Their fathers both flew in from Kuwait for this day. Both men were killed in the blast. Some German tourists nearby were saved by a thick concrete pillar.
I was 5 meters from the explosion, 5 meters only, behind this pillar. And then my wife and we ran out of the hotel, went down to the parking place, and then we hear, only maybe 3 or 5 minutes later, we hear or heard a big explosion from over there.
Over there is another hotel, the Grand Hyatt. Yasmina McCarthy, a New Yorker here on business, was on the 6th floor.
I was quite sure it was a bomb. You could feel the whole building shake.
Across town at the day's end, the suicide bomber never made it inside and instead blew himself up on the sidewalk. Today, hundreds of Jordanians marched through the streets to protest the attacks, chanting, "We are not afraid of the terrorists." Jordan's King Abdullah promised his people to hunt down those responsible and said Jordan will not bow to pressure or blackmail. In a highly unusual response to the street demonstrations here, al-Qaeda posted another internet message tonight trying to justify the bombings and promising they won't hesitate to do it again. Bob?
David, clearly one of the reasons they did this was to intimidate the Jordanians. Do you think it may have backfired?
I think it will, Bob. Prior to the attacks, about 60% of Jordanians saw al-Qaeda as a legitimate resistance movement. I don't think that's true today.
And you're in front of the hotel where one of the attacks happened. Are people they're lighting candles, obviously, behind you there?
That's right. There have been lots of street demonstrations today, as I mentioned earlier, and many of them have ended up here where people have lit candles to express their sorrow for the victims of the attacks.
This was the hotel where the wedding party was?
That's correct, the Radisson Hotel.
All right. Thank you, David. Well, it is going to cost you a lot more to heat your home this winter if you heat with oil or natural gas. The Energy Department predicts that bills for oil customers will be 27% higher than last year. Natural gas, 41% higher. For some, the solution to high energy prices may be as plain as daylight. Here's Thalia Shuras with our Consumer Alert.
Meet Barry and Anita Mathis. 2 kids.
Take it to mommy.
Big new house.
My favorite feature of the house is the curved staircase.
And a tiny electric bill.
It was kind of mind-blowing when I first moved into this house because I opened power bills and I would just start laughing because it just didn't make any sense that you could save this much money on electricity.
It's not that the Mathises are energy sensitive. They have big appliances and, of course, air conditioning. The secret is on the roof. Look closely. Those shiny panels are solar energy pads.
You almost have to show people where the tiles are that are solar. If it had big Space Invader stuff on top of the house, definitely would have been a problem for me.
I've never done an interview on a roof before, I have to tell you.
This is a solar revolution in the making. Solar panels are now relatively small, fit seamlessly into a roof, and shrink energy costs.
Are these solar panels going to pay for the energy of this house?
They're going to offset 70% of the consumption of this house.
My bill is 70% less.
Correct.
And as you can see, we're still doing a lot of work in here.
Developer John Ralston has built 150 solar homes in California. All have this unique feature. They can make so much energy, they feed power to the electric company, literally making the meter spin backwards, reducing the bill.
How's that possible?
If you're creating more electricity than you're using, it will spin backwards and it will actually reduce your total kilowatts.
So I could get zero, couldn't I?
You could have less than zero.
You know the saying about a home's biggest selling point? It's all about location, location, location. Well, that's a major problem with this concept. Unless you live in a place like California with all this sunshine, it's just not practical.
But builders claim that's going to change soon. They say these panels are so efficient they will be usable even in states with short days and less light.
We are making electricity right now.
Yeah, you can see it right here on the numbers.
The state of California covers about half the cost, and local power companies are required to give homeowners credit for the power their house makes.
When we're away, we're making money.
But don't think the Mathises spend any time watching their meter.
And that's really one of the pretty parts of the whole idea, is that this happens without us knowing anything about it. It's just there.
They just enjoy the house, bask in the easy money, and let the sun do the work. Thalia Shura, CBS News, Roseville, California.
And finally tonight, the kind of story we do not often get from Iraq. It is about an American soldier and the dog he found in the middle of a war. Here's Richard Schlesinger.
He inevitably goes out and gets himself in trouble.
By the time Captain John Smathers got home from Iraq, he was the most decorated Army reservist of the war and undoubtedly a hero to one particular Iraqi.
He was just a little puppy at that time. He was 2.5 months old, and, you know, I immediately, said, we got to keep this dog.
He first saw Scout wandering the streets during the battle for the Baghdad airport, one of thousands of strays, but to Smathers, one of a kind.
How long did it take for you to fall in love with this dog?
First time I saw him. He was very vulnerable, but he put on a front like he was a tough guy, which is probably how a lot of soldiers feel.
Scout and John Smathers were together for a year.
I was about ready to go off on a mission, and I was, saying goodbye to him there.
But when Smathers was seriously injured and flown home for medical care, Scout was on his own and on the captain's mind.
He's probably very confused, and so I knew I had to get him back.
He spent months emailing troops who had taken over his unit's old house, begging for information about Scout.
There's a bond with he and I. As long as he was alive, and it was within my power to get him here, I was going to try. I mean, I owe him that.
And almost unbelievably, one soldier wrote back. He knew Scout and agreed to take him to the Baghdad Zoo, where Smathers knew people who would care for him. It took 1 year more to get Scout out of Iraq. At one point, he was driven 8 hours to the Jordanian border, only to be sent right back to Baghdad because of paperwork snafus. But finally, last August, it worked. Scout was flown to Washington. This moment was, in Captain Smathers' mind, the successful conclusion of one last mission.
And when I saw him there laying at my feet, I was just smiling, and I laid down with him, and I felt like, John, you're done.
Scout has now taken up guard duty outside Smathers' house. One more veteran, home at last. Richard Schlesinger, CBS News, West Friendship, Maryland.
More stories are just a click away, but don't forget to join me on television for the on-air edition of the CBS Evening News. Starting Monday, CBS News sets out on another of our cross-country road trips. This time, we'll focus on one of America's greatest health problems, obesity. For CBSNews.com, I'm Bob Schieffer.